carnivals and the edifying joy they provide has added to make the Gambia a rather special country. It's great to have you back on the expedition. I am Ibrahim Ajata. On this edition of the expedition, we ask why have cultural carnivals become particularly popular in the Gambia, a country where culture is perpetually celebrated and relived. That's the expedition after this break. We're back again on the expedition. Thanks for joining us. Now, if you've been a regular visitor to the Smiling Coast, you cannot miss the plethora of cultural carnivals which snowstorm the country, happening everywhere, taking different forms and dimensions. This is one of the strongest traits of the Smiling Coast, whose people absolutely cherish the cultures and values which bind them together, forming the basis of their existence. If you've never released a cultural carnival on the Smiling Coast, sit back and enjoy a fascinating expedition. A heaving gathering under one beat, inclined and propelled by a single drive. A multitude of cultural manifestations looking to invigorate norms of the past on one immense platform. The drumming, dancing, mystical constituents and other activities are reminiscent of times long gone. Welcome to the Gambia, the attic of African traditions and home of undiluted customs, forming the basis of a nation with a cultural trait never seeming to quench the edifying taste of its citizenry. The past, they say, is always been celebrated in the Gambia, with a population strongly attached to ways and values taken over from the olden days. This perhaps is why Gambians love cultural festivals and make the most of any break to showcase one's glorious traditions in order to attain the enriching fulfillment it provides. In traditional Gambian society, seasonal festivals reviving culture were quite a common occurrence, usually held to celebrate the joys of living, virtues of hard work, and the bounties nature provides. Coming in a loaded variety, the celebrations generally served various purposes, which can be anything from festivals to ask for abundant rain when drought occurs, and food is in short supply to the beginning of harvest, and even celebrations of common heritage and culture.
There were so many festivals which served to bring people together to sing their differences. There were festivals like, for instance, at harvest time when food is in abundance, festival after the growing season, the agricultural season, when there is very little to do. There were hunting festivals to try to call animals which destroy crops during the agricultural season. There were fishing festivals, all sorts of festivals.
So a lot of things
were in tradition. Yes, these were occasions for people to bring out their traditional cultural practices, whether in performance traditions actually. Okay. So they bring out masks, they show dance, singing, and merriment, and joy. To say thank God for the joys of living.
In 1996, the International Roots Festival was launched by the Gambia government under the aegis of the Ministry of Tourism and Culture and the National Council for Arts and Culture. The hallmark event fulfilled and brought into stark reality the best-selling novel and epic TV drama by African-American author Alex Haley, who traced his roots to the Gambia and ultimately made the pilgrimage to the village where his great ancestor Kunta Kinte was captured on the banks of the river and sold into slavery. Jufure, the hometown of Kunta Kinte, is now world famous, and Albreda, a settlement close by, including James Island, now renamed Kunta Kinte Island, a former British fort, have become UNESCO heritage sites where tourists visit or revisit the past in one complete apparel.
I am very pleased and proud to say that for 15 years, my government has nurtured the International Roots Festival with the express purpose of building closer ties with peoples of African descent the world over, and to make them feel that the Gambia in particular, and Africa in general, is their true home. The festival remains a celebration of the varied cultures of the African people and a forum where Africans in the diaspora and Africans on the African continent will interact and learn about each other. The Roots Festival provides one with the opportunity to have an insight into our history and socioeconomic strides and challenges, investments and business opportunities, and tourist attractions such as nature, culture, and cuisine. The project of African unity cannot be completed without the significant input of Africans living in the diaspora. This is precisely why we always value your participation in the Roots Festival as well as other cultural festivals. If Africa is able to marshal and canalize the efforts, resources and talents of our children everywhere, she would be a superpower in substance and outlook.
The International Roots Festival became a quick success, drawing hordes of African Americans and Africans from the diaspora to the Gambia to discover, reconnect, and re-embrace their ancestral identity on a cultural pilgrimage back to their roots in Africa. Here, Charles Guest unveils the result of an inspiration derived from the first visit he made to the Kunta Kinte Island, which stirred memories of his childhood in a country far away from his native home.
I went down in the little dungeon where they held the strongest Africans there, and I might add that a butterfly followed me on the boat all the way from Jufre to here, just right by my side, that I found very symbolic and because I played with caterpillars when I was a boy. And so that was like the whole thing that was about to occur that I had no idea that was going to happen when I arrived on this island.
Part of the events take effect in Kanilai, hometown of the Gambia's president, Sheikh Professor Dr. Alhaji Yahya Jammeh, who is a great exponent of culture. The Kanilai experience adds immense measure to the cultural edification and activities marking the Roots Festival, and visitors are brought close to the most profound customs of the Gambia, as well as the varied heritage Kanilai has to offer. The festival recently observed its 10th year in February during the celebration of the Black History Month. The key highlights of the festival include spellbinding cultural displays, pilgrimages to the Kunta Kinte Island and Jufure Home of Roots, visits to historic and cultural sites, and the climax, which comes in the form of the Futampaf, the traditional Jola ceremony where participants experience rites of initiation.
It's like getting into the smaller boat really brought a reality, you know, with the rocking and just this group energy that was just soaring, and we could see the others that had already gone onto the island ahead of us, and then we had the ceremonial boats, I don't know if that's what they were called, with the drumming, and they came around, so they were just building this energy. And then when we got there, and all the dignitaries was there, Charles was there, and the first thing I did was to take off my shoes, because I actually wanted to stand barefoot, and I didn't even know if that was disrespectful or not, but that's really what I wanted. But most importantly for me, this is my